And we're back here on the Pop Culture Cosmos. I'm Gerald Glassford with Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. And I really, truly appreciate, everyone out there listening and watching. We just truly appreciate you being part of the Pop Culture Cosmos. Once again, for everyone out there, just want to let you know we're on the Podcast Radio Network Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And also as well, we're on the Tangent Bound Network, the ESO Network, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, and podcast.com. Well, we are going to be talking some TV, so get your remote control out and start tuning those channels, because it's a great time right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos. I have some amazing guests with me today. First off, I want to say a big thank you to the TVRatingsGuide.com for joining me on today's episode, because, well, actually what we're going to do is we're going to be talking a lot about the fall TV season, TV show ratings, who's hot, who's not. And over the course of the actually next couple episodes, we're going to be talking a whole lot about TV ratings. So with me today are the guys, once again, from the www.tvratingsguide.com. And I've got Jonathan and Hunter with me today. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, we're doing good.
Glad to be here.
Oh, well, it's great having you on. Thank you again. And I just want to say what a pleasure it is having you both again on the Pop Culture Cosmos. Hunter, first off, tell a little bit, everybody, about your site, what it's all about, what it does, how it started, or whatever it is you want to talk about when it comes to the TV Ratings Guide.
Okay, so I think it started, let's see, probably about a year and a half ago, I think. Not sure exactly when, but I discovered the site back in May or June of 2015, and I loved it and immediately started contributing, like writing articles, like renew, cancel things, reviews, and it was a lot of fun, and we have a great community at our website. Lots of great articles from lots of different people. So.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Jonathan, how did you start up with the TV Ratings Guide? And tell me a little bit more about your thoughts about how it is working for the TVRatingsGuide.com.
Well, actually, the ratings junkie, he's the one who made the website and who does everything on it. But I actually got recruited by Hunter like September 14th of last year, so a little over a year. And so I came on, I started doing the reality Renew, Cancel Watch, and we're the only website that has one of those, so that's pretty cool. And it's just been a lot of fun. We keep growing more and more each year. We just got a .com, so we're like pretty official now. And it's just a lot of fun to do a lot of random articles and stuff.
Indeed. It is a lot of fun working on a site about things you enjoy, about things you're doing. And of course, when you're talking about the TVRatingsGuide.com, you were talking about TV ratings, which, as you know, is the all be, the end all for TV networks, because obviously it means so much when it comes to advertising, when it comes to just people watching, what types of people we're watching, what are the age groups, demographics. I mean, there's a whole, almost like a scientific quotient when it comes into it. So I'll ask you first, because we're really going to get into the thick of it here when it comes to TV ratings. But before we do, on the shows itself, what are some of your thoughts on the top shows this fall TV season? Who is still banking it as far as TV ratings concerned? Jonathan, I'll start with you first.
Well, I mean, nowadays most ratings shows aren't really that high, but there's this one show, This Is Us. It's a new show. It's doing really well. It's an actual breakout hit. High twos in the ratings, so that's doing really well, I guess, in the terms of new shows. And then you got ABC has Grey's Anatomy, who after like 15 years almost is still pulling 2.0s, which is pretty huge, and one of ABC's top shows. So I guess those are one of the top two shows in TV if you like take out cable and The Walking Dead and reality shows.
Absolutely. And Hunter, what are some of the things you're seeing as far as consistency, as far as maybe NCIS or some of the top shows that are out there? Are you still seeing that same trend, or are there shows that you see now have become big players in the TV marketplace?
Well, yeah, you mentioned NCIS. That show has definitely been stable over many years. Like, it doesn't lose very many each year, while most shows go down a lot in the ratings each year because less people are watching TV live, especially. But there are some shows that are holding up really well, like NCIS. Like NCIS spinoff, NCIS Los Angeles is doing really well this year, and Hawaii Five-0 is doing well this year.
It's almost like an evolution of CSI, and all of it branched off, and now NCIS has done exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it kind of is. Like, NCIS and its spinoffs are doing pretty well, and you see kind of the same thing going on over at NBC, where you have the Chicago shows created by the same creator as the Law and Order shows.
Indeed, you're exactly right on that.
Yeah. There's Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and then this upcoming, like, in January, I'm not sure if it's confirmed in January, but they'll have Chicago Justice, another spinoff. So a big franchise there.
And of course, but they still can't touch the ratings winner, which is the Chicago Cubs. But we won't, we won't go there on that. Well, that's obviously status quo for a lot of those shows. It's great. I do know that The Simpsons as well has been solid, and they've renewed that for another 2 seasons, I guess, to hit to the magical 30 and become, I guess, the longest broadcast show of its kind. You passing Bonanza, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it is. I'm not sure exactly, but I know, yeah, it's very long running, and like some sort of record. And yeah,
I think that's the case. I think Bonanza had the record, but if upon its 30th, because it did get renewed to its 30th season, that once it passes that 30th season, yeah, it will be the longest running TV show of all time, which is something to say about the people that watch it as far as their commitment to it, and it's just great to see. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what shows are maintaining or building their audience from previous years. Not talking about those shows that are on the air now and that are the hot thing to watch, but what shows do you see a definite climb as far as the ratings are concerned? Hunter, let's start with you.
Let's see, those shows, like I mentioned this year, NCIS Los Angeles is doing really well. It's actually up from last season, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, probably. Yes, because it was put to Sunday night, correct?
Yeah, it moved to Sunday night, and that really helped, because I guess a lot of people weren't really watching on Monday nights at 10, but Sunday nights at 8, a lot more people are interested. And some of that's probably due to football, but probably not all of it. And then there's some other shows that are like up from last season at this point. Hawaii Five-0, probably because of having MacGyver as a lead-in, which is very compatible, same audience. Jane the Virgin is actually doing just about as well, even if not a little bit better than it was at this point last season, which is pretty surprising. It was never a show that was very big in the ratings, but it has stayed about the same over most of its run. And then Bob's Burgers, airing at 7:30, is still holding up a lot of like what it was doing last season. It's doing a little bit better right now in the ratings than it was at this point last season.
Sweet. Those are, some excellent shows that have seen, like you said, to have not only built or maintained their audience, but built upon top of it. Jonathan, are there any standouts for you as concerned that some shows that, like I said, that have been on the air for a little while already, which usually will mean like a decline in numbers, but are actually reversing that trend and are showing improvement?
I think Hunter basically summed up all the shows that were improving from last year, steady, which is not really many shows have that, because most shows are down year to year for various reasons. I think the CBS Monday night comedies are all doing pretty well, like Two Broke Girls, The Big Bang Theory. This has been on 10 years, and it's still pulling high threes. It's the #1 TV comedy. And like ABC's Wednesday, Modern Family, The Goldbergs, those are both still doing really well for ABC and still up from last year or equal to.
Fair enough indeed. Before I go into a little bit more about some other questions I had to this, we were talking about you were talking, Hunter, about the CW with Jane the Virgin. some notes for our fans who actually listen to the show in regard to pop culture. There's a lot of superhero shows on the CW. How are those shows transpiring so far? And when it comes to, because I heard rumors that The Flash may not be doing as well this year on the CW as previous, but how are the DC, and obviously with Supergirl, moving over from CBS, how are those shows doing as far as on the CW network?
Yeah, so CW Network has lots of those superhero shows. Like The Flash is their biggest hit right now, but it is declining. It's still #1 on the network, but it's not doing as well as it was before. It's facing a larger than average decline this year, and the same thing is going on with Arrow on Wednesday nights, where those two shows especially are facing larger declines. Supergirl is down a bit from last year, but that's to be expected because of the network change. It was on CBS last year and then CW this year, and it's still doing pretty well on CW. And Legends of Tomorrow is down a little bit, not as much, but all 4 shows are down some. There's a couple factors you could consider as being the reason. It could be because of oversaturation. Maybe people are getting tired of all these superhero shows. There's so many of them. But that might not be the reason. It could be that in Chicago, CW's affiliate, it changed. It went from a network that was more watched to one that isn't. So it could be due to Chicago affiliate change or superhero oversaturation. But yeah, those shows are down from last season.
Fair enough indeed, because I know that's of some concern to some of the people I talk to out there in regards to longtime DC fans, but they've heard rumors regarding some of the shows, especially like I said, The Flash, even though it's the #1 show on the CW network, that it's not seeing the best of ratings right at the moment. Jonathan, I want to start with you on this one. What are your favorite and least favorite shows currently airing? And do you think quality always translates into ratings?
Well, my favorite broadcast show to ever air probably was Nashville, which was canceled last year. So I'm not going to talk about that right now. But
sorry,
I guess I like a lot of comedies. The Good Place, Superstore, Two Broke Girls. Those are really my favorites this season. They're really like different comedies, and I guess those would be my favorite shows. And to answer your question about if quality translates to quantity, I mean, I think viewers do a good job most of the time of weeding out just the really bad shows that aren't good. Like shows that may be canceled after 2 episodes or make 13 episodes and that's it. But sometimes I do think there's a few exceptions of some really great shows that they just don't do well. Maybe for like a bad time slot, little promotion, just for like story reasons. And so I think not all the time, but a good bit of the time.
Fair enough. Hunter, are there any, and talking what Jonathan just said about quality of shows translating into TV ratings, there's been a number of shows that may not have met a critical need or a critical audience as far as it's concerned, but still maintain or get good numbers, not only on a entry level basis when they first start up, but continuously, which sometimes confounds people when it concerns the quality of television. Are there shows, in your opinion, that do not meet those standards, but still somehow miraculously meet ratings numbers?
Well, I think that bad shows perform poorly more often than good shows perform well. So sometimes, like a lot of the shows sometimes that are like considered very good, these like shows that everyone's really excited about, they don't always do very well. Of bad shows, ones that people are like, oh, that's not very good, and tend to be general consensus on that, tend to do poorly more often. But there still are some shows that will perform well, even though critics aren't a fan and don't seem to hear many people talking about loving those shows. Like on ABC, Dr. Ken is in its second season. Not very good reviews. People aren't very interested in it, but it's still going on. This season, it is at risk for cancellation, but it was doing pretty well for Fridays on the first season, and it's not doing that poorly this season.
Fair enough indeed. What are some of your favorite shows that are currently on the air that, because I know I have a few myself, but what are some of your favorite shows on the air that you hopefully will, that you're hoping to keep on the air for some time to come?
Well, I'm really enjoying Crazy Ex-Girlfriend on the CW. doesn't get the best ratings, but I think there's enough other factors at play that I think it's going to be back. So I'm very relieved there. I'm really enjoying the new show Conviction on ABC, but that one, the ratings aren't there. It's
That's the
not.
one with Haley Atwell, correct?
That is, yes, it's Haley
I
Atwell's
think
show.
that just got the. I think that just got the chopping block on that one. I think I just posted something the other day that's on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook that said Haley Atwell might be more interested in becoming Agent Cotter again. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, they decided recently, they just announced that it won't be getting any more episodes this season, which isn't an official cancellation. ABC's not saying right now at this moment they're not bringing it back, but they're not bringing it back.
She's got some free time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's basically ABC's code for not wanting to not wanting to bring it back, because we're not going to make any more episodes this season, and that's better than with some shows where they get cut, like Notorious got cut from 13 to 10 episodes. But in both cases, ABC isn't saying they're canceling the show right now, but both shows will not be returning.
Fair enough indeed. Jonathan, I got to ask you this, what Hunter and I were just talking about. Has there been, to your knowledge, any actor that has gotten canceled from 2 shows within the span of 6 months?
I don't think 6 months, but there's a few actors that I watch shows from. Like there's Rachel Taylor, who's now on Jessica Jones on Netflix. I remember she's been on like a new show each season for like the past 5 years. It got canceled after 1 season, so that's pretty tough. But not like 6 months. That's pretty crazy.
I know indeed. My daughters love Agent Cotter. They are hoping that it might find a revival of some type on Netflix. So maybe Haley Atwell will be more receptive to that now that she has some free time on her hands, because American television exactly isn't sitting well with her right now, I bet. I once again, this is the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford. How are you? I'm here with Jonathan and Hunter from theRatingsGuide.com. If you get a chance, check out their site, TVRatingsGuide.com. They do a great job not only breaking down and analyzing the numbers for everyone out there to focus on when it comes to their favorite shows for everyone out there, but they also do a great job of doing reviews on various episodes and shows that they cover. They've got a great list of writers from what I was looking at the other day that are on the that voice their opinions on the TV rating scene and share their opinions and reviews. They just do a great job. And if you get a chance, you just go to their site, TVRatingsGuide.com. That's www.TVRatingsGuide.com. And also as well, you can check them out. They do a tremendous job on Twitter, I'm telling you. As far as any questions that you ask, they've got a great comment area, not only on their site, but if you get a hold of them at TV Ratings Guide on Twitter, they'll be glad to take care of you there as well. Trust me, I know this from personal experience. They've done a great job on not only on their site with their comment board, but their Twitter as well. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about the ratings itself. And 2 more quick questions on this segment. How important are the November sweeps? Because we're right now smack dab in the middle of it. And how important are the November sweeps to shows, to the networks, and something that often doesn't get talked about as much when it comes to TV ratings, but is obviously very important to advertisers? Hunter, I'll start with you.
So the November sweeps, which are one of the 4 sweep periods in the year, are one of the times where the networks and their local affiliates look more deeply at the ratings usually, and they see how is this network doing, and so and often during this time less repeats are aired, although now there's less repeats throughout the whole year because a lot of bridge shows and things like that. But still, it's an important time. It's not that important anymore, but it's still has its importance.
Fair enough indeed. Jonathan, I want to ask you real quick, when it comes to the networks are concerned, these November sweeps. So like what Hunter was saying, as far as their value and how much they're weighted, is it the May sweeps are more important then, or is it something just as far as right off the bat they're going to, a lot of networks just make the decision whether or not they're going to stick with the show or not?
I think it may be a little bit of what Hunter said about how they're still pretty important, but they're not that important. Like I'd say probably the sweeps in the second half of the year are more important, especially the May sweeps since it's the season finale time, and those usually tend to draw like a higher audience than they had all spring. But I guess November sweeps are pretty important because like once you hit spring and January time, shows will be down. So they get more ratings, which is more viewers, which is more money for the advertisers in November. So they're probably pretty important, but not the most important sweep time.
Fair enough indeed. Hunter, I had just put this in before we went on broadcast. So I want to ask this on this segment. We were talking about ratings and how important the numbers are to the networks and whatnot. What about the advent of DVR? I noticed over the course of the past few years, DVR has played a larger and larger role in American households as far as how they view and watch television. We're all busy doing stuff. We can't always catch the first airing of The Walking Dead or Me Timeless or Me Elementary or Me Anything, really. It's pretty much DVR for me. Or through cable networks that provide, obviously they have it on their queue and you watch it at your leisure. How important are those later airings to the networks? Because I see some shows that, from my past reading and past articles, not only on TVRatingsGuide.com, but what, in past readings, that DVR and belated viewings might be the difference between a show staying on the air and being canceled.
Yeah, so DVR has had a huge impact on live TV viewing over like the last decade or so, where it's really gone down, and DVR was the first big reason for that. And then now today with Netflix and Hulu and things like that, where people have more opportunities to watch shows not live later on, like they can watch it later on. Like I know I do that for Tuesday at 9. I have like 5 shows on at the same time. I can't watch 5 shows at once. So I watch one show live usually, and then the other.
Not very well, let's just say. You can't do it very well.
Yeah, you'd miss a lot going back and forth. But, how DVR really works and other forms of delayed viewing is it isn't as big of an impact as live viewing, because when you're watching a show live, you watch all the commercials. And so then advertisers are saying, okay, people are watching this show live, they're watching the commercials, so I want to advertise during that show. And a lot of people, when they watch in DVR, they might fast forward through the commercials. And so there's a metric that the networks use to determine how many people are watching the commercials during their shows, which is rarely released to the public, but it looks usually fairly similar to the live viewing and like pretty proportional. But then also there are things like Hulu, or for CBS has their own streaming service, CBS All Access, where you have to pay to get it, and then you watch some commercials. They put not as many commercials as when you watch a TV show live, but you might have like 3 or 4 ads in the commercial breaks. And those are ways that they're making money despite the whole DVR thing. So then, like, for example, CBS might make money for people subscribing to CBS All Access and watching the commercials during CBS All Access. Although, of course, they have to get people to want to watch CBS All Access, which I think is something they're struggling with.
Fair enough. I know what they're doing a spinoff of The Good Wife on there, and of course, what I'm looking forward to, Star Trek Discovery, when that ever. I know they had delayed it. They delayed it once, and then now they've had showrunner issues. So who knows when that's going to come on the air. Jonathan, I want to ask you real quick, when it comes to these all access networks, when it comes to the Netflix, and when it comes to the Hulu, when it comes to HBO, how do you guys at the TVRatingsGuide.com, how do you guys are able to formulate what shows are being watched on these networks that are hit, that are popular, and how are you able to gauge the popularity of these shows? Because, for instance, I'll throw it out there, Westworld. I've seen a few episodes of it now. I can tell you by far, my first opinion is, no matter what you think of it as far as a good or bad show, it is the most expensive show I have ever seen on television. With as far as what they're doing, what they're asked to do, all the sets, all the layouts, the actors and actresses involved. A lot of them are name value, so I'm sure they're not exactly cheap to go ahead and have on the air. And like I said, the sets, the layout, the people that are actually involved in it, all the sets, all the actors, all the extras and whatnot. How do shows like that how are shows like that gauged when you guys are doing it, to gauge exactly how popular they are, and how are you able to, as the ratings guide, be able to translate that to your audience to let them know exactly which shows on these networks that are not on the broadcast network are able to be, are they worth watching?
Well, it really depends on the show. Like the show you mentioned, Westworld, that's kind of one of the outliers. Like that's a really expensive show. But most cable shows are significantly less money than a broadcast show, so they have like more money to be able to renew shows. Like I think comedies are usually $4 million on broadcast networks, average about, and like they'll be say $2 million on a cable network, so they're cheaper, so they can afford lower ratings. Like Westworld, you mentioned, that have to do like really well. Like I think it's pulling 0.7s to 0.8, which is pretty good for HBO, but it's expensive as you mentioned. So HBO probably does look a little into like delayed viewing, who's buying it, to see if they can get enough money there to renew it. But like I'd say what it is at now, they could probably afford to renew it because cable shows, they know, not many people are going to go get HBO. So for a rating that good is pretty good. But if it was pulling, say, a 0.4, which they renew for another one of their dramas, they'd probably have to cancel it because it's too low, like if it's an expensive show, but it's making enough in money and ratings to be able to get renewed properly.
Fair enough, because I wanted to know exactly if they can consider Westworld a pillar to go along with, obviously, Game of Thrones, because we know the huge popularity of Game of Thrones, and wanted to see if Westworld is somewhere within that realm as being a second pillar. Do you think that's the case, Hunter? Or do you think that it's still, for now, Game of Thrones and then some?
I think that's maybe a better question for Jonathan. I don't know too much about cable. I'm focused more on broadcast, but I think he knows a bit more about cable. So.
Well, fair enough. I will put it back to you, Jonathan, on that, since you are the man in the know regarding cable. As far as do you see Westworld becoming that second pillar? Because obviously we talked about the expense and whatnot, and seemingly that's what I'm sure HBO's end goal is, to make it that second pillar show behind Game of Thrones.
I mean, I definitely think they want to do that, but I mean, Game of Thrones pulls 4.0s, and I don't think they know they're not going to get a show that's going to pull 4.0s, but when they have a lot of their shows pulling, 0.2s through 0.4s, or even they have a few 0.0s or 0.1s, they're probably really happy to have Westworld pulling, 0.8s, and they probably maybe, if they're disappointed if they wanted to make it the next Game of Thrones, but I don't think that they're like disappointed with its success and what it's doing right now.
Fair enough indeed. Thank you, Jonathan, for that. And so that's right now is Jonathan and Hunter from the TVRatingsGuide.com and TV Ratings Guide on Twitter. Please follow them. You check out their site. You can go ahead. They've got a great community there already ready to chat with you as far as their thoughts on the TV rating scene. They got some great articles and reviews up there already. Guys, I want to bring you back on our next episode here. So if that's okay with you, I got some more questions that I want to ask for next week's episode. Is that okay?
Sure.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. And with that, we'll be right back. And we're back after that long break. How are you once again? This is Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We are here once again on the Pop Culture Cosmos show. Listen to each and every Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network, the Tangent Bound Network, the ESO Network, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, and podcast.com. Want to also give a shout out to our good friends that help create and keep and make all that's worthwhile with Pop Culture Cosmos. And that's Mario Party Wars, Retro City Games, Rob McCallum Films, and congratulations to director Rob McCallum on his next documentary he will be working with Morgan Spurlock on, and that's the Barbie documentary. So congratulations again. If you want to know about all of his great projects, robmccallumfilms.com. Our great friends at Retro City Games, the leaders in Southern Nevada and in video games. Check them out, Retro City Games on Facebook. Wine, Women, and Words, the best podcast out there on YouTube covering the literary world. Diana and Michelle do a great job. We just appreciate everything they do on Wine, Women, and Words on YouTube. Game Source, which is the original, which is the place to go for everything video games. If you want to check it out, Game Source on Facebook, at Game Source on Twitter. And if you want to read all that we have to do and all we have to say, we got dozens of great articles ourselves on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. You check it out. There's a listing of all of our shows. There's all of our dozens and dozens of articles we have, relating to everything pop culture and a lot more. And also a lot of our YouTube stuff is located right there for you as well. Josh Peterson, author of Vendetta Dark, his great stuff from the episodes of Ghost Toasters, his mockumentary type deal. Check it out on the YouTube. It's right there on the side when you hit popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. So check all that out. All right, guys. Want to give you guys another shout out again. I am here again with Hunter and Jonathan with the TVRatingsGuide.com and TV Ratings Guide on Twitter. Want to check out their great site. They have dozens and dozens of articles out there on the TV rating scene, and also as well dozens of reviews out there as well on the greatest and latest in TV shows. They also have a big community that I'm sure that they appreciate every single day, that in regards to all the comments they leave and an interactive community which you can become a part of at TVRatingsGuide.com. And their Twitter is just amazing. I've been going back and forth with their Twitter operator for the past couple of days. I just want to thank that person, who's a mysterious person behind the keyboard, I shall say, but has truly been a great help in coordinating this interview today. So for this episode, I want to ask you guys again, it's a great pleasure having you back on. And well, we're going to hit you with some more questions. I'm going to start off with you, Jonathan. What shows are surprising you with ratings above what you had projected, expected, or and analyzed what would come to be?
Well, this year there's not that many shows that are higher than I thought they'd be, but there's a few I'd probably say Lethal Weapon on Fox is pulling really high ratings for Fox. They're probably really excited with the way that's going. High ones. Didn't
that get it renewed for the full season, or no? Am I mistaken on that?
I believe it did. I think it was one of the first ones in the first few weeks of the season. Yeah, and also probably Kevin Can Wait on CBS and Man with the Plan. I mean, they're not huge hits like the next Big Bang Theory, like maybe CBS was hoping, but I remember reading everywhere and seeing people commenting before that they premiered, people saying, "Oh, they're not going to do well. It's probably going to get canceled after a few episodes," and they're still doing pretty well for CBS's comedies. So probably those few, I'd say.
Fair enough. Hunter, did you have any thoughts on exactly what shows are surprising you with ratings above what you had expected?
Yeah, I think there's pretty much about one per network that really surprised me. Jonathan mentioned Lethal Weapon on Fox, and that's definitely one that I think was surprising. I thought it was going to be like Rosewood last year, where it performs well when it's airing with Empire, but then when Empire isn't airing, it crashes. But it doesn't look like it's going to be like that. And then American Housewife on ABC, I didn't think could perform very well, but it's performing the best out of all of their Tuesday comedies. It's growing out of the middle consistently, not just in week 1 and 2. And so it's really a strong comedy for ABC. And then MacGyver on CBS, I thought...
I had a feeling you were going to say that one.
Yeah, Friday nights at 8. I thought that it was... I don't know. I was wondering why they even picked it up, because it didn't seem like they were even really trying with it. It didn't... And the trailer got very negative response, but... people watched. A lot of people tuned in for the premiere. Way better than I expected. And it's fallen a lot since then, but still doing better than I had expected. And then finally, The Good Place on NBC. I thought that the concept would be too strange for most people, but people are loving it, and I'm really excited about that. It's doing pretty well, about the same as Superstore.
And Superstore is one that has surprised me this year since it's come out. That's one I thought show that I wasn't sure that was going to last. Was kind of like on the fence on whether or not that show would sustain any life, but that obviously has done very well as well. This Is Us, I think, is something that surprised me as a show, that it has lasted this long and seems to be continuing with that realm. Although they're not doing as many shocking surprises at the end of the episode like they did in previous episodes, it still is a very good show indeed. Which programs are disappointing you with what you thought would happen? Jonathan, I'll start with you. Some shows that you thought it was a slam dunk, it was going to be hit all the way, but unfortunately it's not meeting the audience that you thought it would.
I don't think there are like that many shows that are necessarily just not doing well, or really underperforming. Because I mean, say like take Notorious and ABC. I never really would have thought that would have been a huge hit, so it's not really surprising me. But Designated Survivor, I think that was supposed to be ABC's next big hit, like close to revenge ratings in season 1, and it's already hit a 1.2 for the past 2 weeks. It's close to canceled Nashville season premiere last year, so I think ABC definitely expected a lot better from it, but they're probably still happy with it considering the rest of the ratings.
Fair enough. Hunter, did you have any disappointments so far this year as well?
Yeah, I thought that ABC's Conviction would be a mediocre, or at least performing show. I didn't think it would be a big hit, but I thought that enough people would tune in and watch that it would get renewed and last, but it is not doing very well at all. Very low ratings. So I was surprised by that. And then also on the CW new shows, No Tomorrow and Frequency, I didn't expect huge ratings for either of them, but I expected, again, for them to perform fairly well, but they haven't. They've definitely underperformed what I expected.
Because Frequency is loosely based off the movie, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
I think that may be one reason why, is because the movie came out 7-10 years ago. When it came out long enough back where people have forgotten completely about it, and maybe they weren't able to associate the two. I did want to ask Jonathan or Hunter, whichever one of you guys, couple shows. Actually, just one show in particular that debuted this year, Timeless, which, depending on the episode, is a love it or leave it type show. What are your thoughts on how that has performed so far this year?
Timeless is like a weird case, I guess I would say. I mean, it's airing after The Voice, so most people expect it to be performing like Blind Spot last season, high twos its whole season, but it's already hit a 1.4, 1.5 range, which is definitely underperforming, especially airing after The Voice. But I mean, a 1.4 to 1.5 is still a good rating to get on network TVs for a drama nowadays. So it's not like they're like, oh no, we got a flop on our hands. I think it's just underperforming for them.
Do you see any long-term effects? Do you see any long-term prognostications for that? Because I haven't heard it's been picked up yet. Is that correct?
I do think it received a few more episodes to cap out at 16. I think that was what it was, but not a full season. So I guess I could see it. I think we're having it predicted as a likely renewal right now, or a toss-up, because it's like the things I mentioned. But it depends on, I guess, how the rest of their season goes, what they decide to do with it. But if it continues where it is, it'll probably get renewed for a short season as a filler somewhere.
Fair enough indeed. Hunter, any other shows that you see are disappointing to you, as far as maybe or not meeting the expectations, maybe in a new time slot, a new day, or basically maybe a brand new show that you thought would do better?
That is a good question. I think that Fox expected a little more out of their new show, Pitch. I really did not know what to expect out of Pitch.
I know they were pitching hard. I know they were doing a lot of advertising on that show.
Yeah, and it hasn't really lived up to that. At first, it seemed like, oh, it might make it just because a lot of the things on Fox had really declined in the ratings, and it was doing better than some of them. And it had a very weak, incompatible lead-in with Rosewood. So I was thinking, oh, maybe it will get renewed somehow, but it has declined since then. And so I don't think it'll do very well, and I don't think it'll come back. And even Fox, when they announced their winter schedule, Pitch isn't on there anywhere, and they haven't announced if they're going to do any more episodes this season or not. So, yeah, it's not doing very well.
That's a shame to hear. That's a shame to hear indeed. There's a lot of shows right there, right now on the cusp of very unsure times, because we're now, most of those shows that have been on the air for a month or two now that have really you're starting to get a feel for exactly long term what they're going to do. Hunter, which shows are on the chopping block, either that they have been canceled or which are close to doing so? And I'll start off with you, Hunter, on it, and then I'll ask Jonathan your thoughts on which shows you feel are also near and dear to the chopping block as well. I'll just do that motion while I'm doing it too.
Well, on ABC, we have Notorious and Conviction. The Notorious, which got its episode order cut, and Conviction, which they've said they're not going to pick up any more episodes, which both of those things are signs of not bringing them back. And it's not surprising based on the ratings. They have low ratings. I've been predicting that they would be certain to be canceled since they started. So those ones are definitely goners. On Fox, I just mentioned Pitch, and then in addition to Pitch, The Exorcist is in a similar situation where it's not on the winter schedule, and Fox hasn't said they're going to pick up any more episodes. They haven't really said it either way. And then on CBS, Pure Genius debuted about 2 weeks ago. It aired its third episode last night, and it's not doing all that well. It's in a tricky time slot, but still, I don't think it's doing well enough that they'll want to bring it back.
Well, at least you didn't say Elementary yet. So, because as we spoke before last week's show, it's in that Sunday night 10 o'clock death spot. Before I get to you, Jonathan, what is the expectation, Hunter, on a Sunday night death spot at 10 o'clock? Ratings.
Well,
it's doing a 0.8 from what I remember.
Yeah, Elementary, it's a difficult one to say what's going to happen because it's not very high rated, but it has a great syndication deal.
Exactly.
So,
and CBS owns the show, correct?
Yeah, I believe they do. So they make a lot of money off of the episodes in syndication, even if it's not getting the ratings they would hope for in first run, which is, I think, the reason why it's at Sundays at 10, which sometimes for East Coast viewers becomes Sunday at 11 almost when football runs long. So yeah, I think that it's put in that time slot specifically because they don't have very high expectations for its ratings. I'm not sure if they will want to bring it back. I think it might depend on their schedule. But yeah, it's a tricky one.
You're not telling me good news at all. Jonathan.
I'm not telling you bad news either.
Okay, fair enough. But it's been that way for a couple of years. So I can't blame you at all. Jonathan, I hope you'll shed some more light for me in a good fashion. Tell me some of the shows that you feel or that are on getting close to the chopping block. And I'm going to throw out some shows here in a sec that you may feel may or may not be worth renewing as well.
I think ABC Sunday, they've got Secrets and Lies followed by Quantico, who've both been pulling a 0.6, which is really not good at all. And I personally don't see that being renewed anywhere close to it. They want to probably drag Quantico to syndication, but that would require 2 more seasons. And with it pulling a 0.6, it might be pulling a 0.3 in 2 years. So I think that'll be on the chopping block because last season in spring they pulled off Kings and Prophets after a 0.5, so that's dangerously close to even getting pulled, much less renewed. So I think Hunter summed up all the other shows that are close to be getting canceled.
How about shows that we're familiar with now, like for instance, Fox's Gotham? We haven't mentioned that show. How is that show performing this year? Because it is now meet a meta saturation point where it's, in my opinion, where it's found its audience, and from there it may have be coming to a plateau, and maybe it might start seeing the downslide if it hasn't already.
I think Fox is very happy with Gotham, or at least really okay with it, because they have a lot of shows that are fractional, like Secret Scream Queens pulling 0.6, Pitch, fractional, Rosewood, all those shows. Then they have Gotham and Lucifer on Monday, both pulling, low ones, but they're still pulling above a fractional rating. And then Gotham's in season 3, so it's got syndication going for it this season. So I think they'll really be happy with that one, as long as it keeps up with the 1.0 mark for a while.
Are there some shows that you personally are nervous about as far as, staying on the air, that you have a personal preference towards?
Not really. I mean, last year I had like 15 shows or I was afraid that were going to cancel. They all got canceled, but this year, all the shows I watched: Two Broke Girls, Superstore, The Good Place, a lot of comedies. They're all doing well, especially for the network. So nothing that eyes like is getting canceled. I think Hunter's got a few shows that are close to it. Like Conviction, he loves that.
Fair enough, indeed. And I want to ask you this last one because this is coming from my daughter. She loves The Librarians, and that's going to be airing pretty soon. By the way, if you watch it, please watch it, because the series premiere is coming up. But that is one that has always been very tenuous because it's on that Sunday night. How's best to say this when you got The Walking Dead and everybody else until Game of Thrones hits? How or what does The Librarians need to pull in for me to tell my daughter that yes, it's going to stay on the air?
Well, it's in a really tough time slot, and I'm sure that Sci-Fi is going to take that into consideration, because that's probably one of the most competitive slots, especially with The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, which are probably the two highest. Well, Walking Dead is the highest rated show airing right now, so I think that the network would take that into consideration. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that network, their shows are all really low performing, and I do recall having good
TNT
ratings
or
last
Sci-Fi?
season.
It's on TNT.
Yes, TNT. I think they'll be happy with like a 0.4, 0.6, because they're happy with that over the summer. That's what they renewed. And
Okay.
I think cable, they do take into consideration delayed viewing, how many people are buying it. So also they'll have the time slot that'll probably help it some, because they're like, oh, well, it's airing against The Walking Dead. I mean, I think it has a good chance of being renewed, but we have to see.
What did The Last Ship do, if I may ask? Because maybe that's a comparison. Maybe you can relate the two. Is that something you can do?
The Last Ship is a summer show, so its ratings can be lower and get renewed. But The Last Ship was like, TNT loves that show. They renewed it for several seasons above what it's airing right now. And that pulled 0.4s to 0.6s. So I do think they are happy with, those ratings. So if we can get that, I think it's good.
Fair enough indeed. I'll let her know that. I'll let her know what to look for then. Because that's her favorite show, and I wanted to make sure I got that across. Because I know Librarians, for especially a lot of pop culture fans, it's actually a cool, neat show for people to delve into. Hunter, which shows do you think starting up in the future are ones that you will look out for?
That I personally will look out for, be for ratings or quality? What do you mean?
Just let's say a show that you think is going to be something that people will need to look out for, as far as that either a quality basis or one that you think is really going to pick up some ratings. Like I'll throw one out there, Legion from FX, when that comes on the air, because of its Marvel X-Men type of maybe association with.
Yeah, there's some shows coming up that I think will do well. Like I think the biggest one coming up that I think is going to really do well is on Fox Star, because it's from the same creator as Empire, which is their big hit, way bigger than anything else they have on TV right now. And they're scheduling it well, where they're premiering it after the fall finale of Empire in December, and then they'll be airing it in Empire's time slot while between halves of the season of Empire. So I think that they're scheduling it really well, and it has an audience that will tune in. So I think that one's definitely going to do very well. On the CW, Riverdale is their new show that's coming up in. They haven't announced when they're going to air it yet, but that's the one they have for winter or spring.
Based off the Archie
And-
comics, correct?
Yes.
Loosely
yes.
based off, I should say.
Yes, and it has that comic book background, so that will probably help it on the network. And also, it seems more like something that people who watch the CW would watch, as opposed to No Tomorrow or Frequency.
Fair enough, indeed. Jonathan, do you have some shows that are coming up on the queue that you're looking out for, or you're telling your readers that something that looks like it might be a big hit on their hands?
Hunter really summed up all the shows I think ratings wise will be big hits. Star, definitely think that'll do well, but from a personal point of view, I'm excited for Powerless. It's NBC's new superhero comedy. I think that could be really interesting. Emerald City's premiering in January on NBC. That's based off The Wizard of Oz somewhat. So I think that's interesting. 24 Legacy, that'll probably actually perform pretty well for Fox. Since they've been keep bringing back 24 since it does really well. They're bringing that back again. That'll probably perform pretty well. It's also getting to air after the Super Bowl or sometime around that. So that'll probably do well.
At least they'll get a great start anyways, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fair enough indeed. So I wanted, before we get on out of here with you guys, I want, once again, everybody to find out about all the great things that you guys do for the site. Jonathan, tell us a little bit more about the TVRatingsGuide.com and how people can go ahead and find out what's coming up on the plate for you guys as far as great articles to look out for.
The TV rating guide, I've always said the entire time I've been there that it's not like any other TV-related website. Like most TV websites, they just post ratings, and that's really it. But we have a whole bunch of great posts. Like we do cable renew cancel for all the cable networks, streaming watch renew cancel. So those are special features. I think last season we did have the most accurate prediction record out of all the cable, all the prediction websites. We had the best record. We always write all our 9-member team. We write really interesting posts that you can't find anywhere. Like we have ad rates and ratings to let you know how your show's rating and like a little more in detail. We just got a lot of really interesting posts that give you depth and stuff. And we have then show reviews, which we have like maybe probably 20 shows a week we review, and that's growing too. So
fair enough. That's something to look out for indeed. Hunter, any last thoughts? Any last shout outs on the TVRatingsGuide.com and at TVRatingsGuide on Twitter?
Yeah, I think Jonathan pretty much summed up most of the things that we do that are pretty special and unique, like how we do and how he does like the reality renew cancel and cable renew cancel. That's pretty rare. I think in fact that the reality one, we're the only place that does it. During the summer, in the last 2 summers, I did a summer renew cancel, which is also unique. And we just have lots of articles that sometimes they're part of like a series of articles. Sometimes they're just random articles that are really interesting. I know we've done ones where we analyze like the recent history of like ABC comedies or something like that. And those articles I think are my favorites because they're just so interesting and to make you want like really think about what will do well for the network, what's the future going to look like based on the past.
Fair enough indeed. So people need to look out for all their great articles from 9 different writers. Am I correct?
yeah, 9.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's give all the writers and all the staff a big shout out for TVRatingsGuide.com. It's been a great pleasure having you both on. This is Jonathan and Hunter once again with TVRatingsGuide.com. It's been truly a pleasure having you guys on. And I want to ask, down the line, if you guys got any time later on down the line, can you come back on the show with us and hopefully give us an update what's going on with some of the shows as we get into the spring season? Is that might be okay to do later on down the line?
Yeah, I would love to. We could do something really interesting for spring or something when we have a lot of new stuff to look at and talk about.
Oh, that's awesome. So excellent. Look forward to having you guys on the show again. And during that time, if people again want to check that out, please check out tvratingsguide.com. That's www.tvratingsguide.com. Or as well at TV Ratings Guide on Twitter. You guys have a Facebook as well. I'm pretty sure, it's safe to say, I'm going to say it's safe to say that you might have a Facebook, correct?
We do. We haven't updated it in a while. We have a Facebook. We haven't updated it in a long time. Like I was working on it. Like pretty much me and one other person were updating articles on it last fall, but the things got so hectic that it's hard to remember to post it, like share it to the Facebook page every time there's something new, and it kind of hasn't been posted in a little while. But we might bring that back. I don't know.
Fair enough. And believe me, I know how it is dealing with Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source on both Facebook and Twitter, and trying to also get articles out on each. So I definitely know how hard a task that is. Once again, this is Jonathan and Hunter with TVRatingsGuide.com. Check it out for the latest and greatest on all the TV ratings news, but also as well in-depth articles on the TV rating scene, the networks, the shows that you are watching, the shows that you're hoping to watch, and the shows that you are, would like to see stay on the air. They give you the great insight on that, along with a lot of great reviews. Like you said, 20 shows a week as far as that's concerned as well. It's been a pleasure having you guys on. Once again, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to speak to me on both these episodes. We just truly appreciate having you on again. And once again, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
You got it, guys.